And joining us now to discuss how these proposed cuts in the nation's budget might affect you is Michael Santoli, Associate Editor of Barrons. Great to have you with us, Michael, as always. And there are definitely some new things that we just heard in Nancy's report. But clearly here, you've got some main programs that are going to have to be cut, or at least parts of them that are going to have to be cut in order to get to this $2 trillion goal. Namely, you have the entitlement programs and defense spending.
Right.
Let's start with Social Security, one of the big entitlement programs. The White House estimates that last year we spent $11.6 billion. This year, the estimated amount on that is going to go up 8% to $12.5 billion. What's that really going to mean in layman's terms?
Well, what it means is we need to deal with this on a long-term basis, but actually Social Security is okay for a number of years right now. We can continue to fund the program for a while. But the obvious things out there are perhaps a raising of the retirement age, or at least making lower benefits available at a younger age, or means testing Social Security, which I think is not really on the table. It's just too politically sensitive right now. But in other words, if you have a very high income, maybe you get taxed on Social Security benefits. So what it means right now is it's a looming problem, but it's not an imminent issue for the moment.
Not imminent, but who does it impact, and at what point does it really kick in?
At this point, it's not going to really impact anybody who is in the Social Security program, in other words, collecting benefits right now, who's already retired or probably about to enter it. I think it's going to be more a matter of, in the out years, people who are maybe 55 and below especially might have to get used to the idea that they're not going to have exactly the kind of benefits they might have expected.
So younger baby boomers are the ones who are going to start to feel it, and then the young in particular are really going to feel it down the road.
And this, by the way, all assumes that they will actually touch the program, because right now it seems still as if the politics are not really getting very close to that point.
Now, we did have ARP come out and talk more about the fact that they're willing to touch the program. So that may be a big change or a game changer. Medicare is another one of these programs that is likely going to have some sort of impact there. In 2009, we spent $502.3 billion on Medicare. That's according to the Department of Health and Human Services. So what kind of impact is that going to have, and who's going to be impacted?
Medicare, to be honest with you, is really the entire debate right now, because the inflation in healthcare costs is so dramatic and has been so persistent that really that's the area that's the time bomb in the federal budget. So what that means is probably people are going to have higher deductibles. They're going to have to pay a little bit more for Medicare. It might not be an all-you-can-eat health care plan. The government is going to negotiate things like prescription drug contracts. So I do think right now Medicare, I think, almost has to become less generous for people who are not yet collecting Medicare benefits.
I have one last question about the stock market, and that is, if the debt ceiling does get raised, but you don't see these cuts, what happens in the stock market?
I think it's a foregone conclusion the debt ceiling is going to get raised. We're not talking about the U.S. government actually defaulting on its debt or not being able to run the government. But I do think that the stock market wants to see at least sincere gestures for long-term deficit reduction, not so much next year. Honestly, next year is not that big a deal because the tax revenues are going to come back because the economy is better than it was last year. So I do think what we have to see is some kind of genuine commitment to a longer-term, lower trajectory of federal spending. Then the stock market could take it. But if, in fact, we just get kind
more
of
kicking the can down the road,
I don't think it's going to be very welcome.
It won't be welcome. The market will go down. Michael Santoli, as always, we appreciate it.